Most recently, Elon Musk accused the South African government of being racist and taking land from white people without compensation. Now, that is such a bold claim coming from him, but is it true? Let's find out. Hello there, my name is Janita Maaya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please subscribe and like this video. Let's dive in. Now, Elon Musk is one of the richest men in the world. I mean, who doesn't know him? He owns X, he owns Tesla, and he owns SpaceX. And did you also know that he was born in South Africa? Yes, he's South African by birth. Okay, but one thing he's not rich at is praise for South Africa. He actually criticizes it quite a lot. So the gist of this video is like, get to the bottom of it. Like, what is it that Elon Musk hates about South Africa, and what is South Africa saying about it? You know, to like kind of like hear both sides of the story, and then you will be the judge of if this beef is really worth it, or is he justified in what he says about the country. Now, I mentioned that Elon Musk was criticizing the South African government. One of his main critiques was that the South African government was sort of taking land away from white people and then reclaiming it without compensating the former white owners. And he had such a big issue about it because in 2023 he tweeted South Africa was forcibly seizing land from white citizens, and this kind of sparked a debate. You know, he was basically referring to a policy in South Africa called the EWC. It's showing up on the screen because the other word is quite difficult for me. It allows the EWC allows the government to take land without paying the owners under certain conditions, right? But one thing from my research, the thing that I could come across is that this land policy wasn't actually new. It has been in South Africa for some time because 10% of the South African population, which was white, owned 90% of the land. So the government was trying to reclaim the land because, I mean, this land belonged to the black people, right? It makes sense. Does it make sense? It's making sense, right? Now, it may make sense to you and me. If you're black and you're watching it, it may make sense to you because you're understanding that this policy wasn't just put there to just steal land, but to, you know, to correct the injustices that so many South Africans faced during apartheid and what it is that they went through to liberate their country, you know, the fight to freedom and so much more. So they're trying to do that. You know, it's like when you take back land from the people who took it from you, that type of situation. But we can see that clearly Elon Musk is heavily against that. He says it defies property rights for the landowners who are particularly white. Now watch this clip.
And we start with this story. US President Donald Trump says that South Africa's leadership is doing some terrible things after threatening to cut off all future funding to South Africa over its land expropriation policies. Now, in a post on his media platform Truth Social, Trump said that South Africa was confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. Now, he also called it a massive human rights violation and warned that the United States would not stand for it.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
Okay, now this particular clip, you can see that Trump is also weighing in and actually threatening to cut off aid to South Africa. I mean, if you're watching this by now, foreign aid has been cut off to most African countries. There's like a 90-day period where they see if these countries actually deserve the aid or turn the resources to things that America needs, as they say it. Like, that's why they're cutting off the foreign aid, right? But I want us to connect the dots, right? So Elon Musk is a heavy supporter of President Trump, right? So connect the dots of what's happening here. He has talked about the land grabs that have happened before in South Africa, and he was saying how it was very unfair to the white people and how it was unfair to people of his color, of his skin color, right? Now here comes Trump. heavily supported by Elon Musk. And then when he gets into power, these are some of the things that he's looking at. And he's talking about how the South African government is doing terrible, terrible things to so many South African people. Obviously, it's meaning that the South African government is doing horrible things to the white South Africans, for lack of a better word. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But you can see how this has sort of like created an atmosphere for Elon Musk to be who he is, to have what he has going on with these people in South Africa. I also want to read from a tweet from Trump. It says, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly, in bold letters. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want so much as mention. A massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, I'll be cutting off all future funding in South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. So I hope you're connecting the dots and kind of seeing where Elon Musk is coming from and where South Africa is coming from, because to South Africa, they are correcting the wrongs of the people. They're correcting the wrongs of what was done to them. And then to these other people, they're saying, hey, these are our property rights and we can do what we want, so on and so forth. Okay. The other reason why Elon Musk is so keeps on criticizing South Africa is because South Africa has a policy called the Black Economic Empowerment, which is the BEE policy, right? And the policy was designed for South Africans to gain economic power after apartheid. It requires businesses to give ownership, shares, contracts, and hiring priority to Black citizens. Now that right there has Elon Musk pressed. He really doesn't like it when such policies are in place, especially for South Africa, because to him, that policy is killing so many businesses in South Africa. Now, doing my research, the people or articles that have said that this particular policy doesn't even benefit most Black people, it actually benefits a select, like the elite group of Black people, and it's not a policy that they want in place. I'll kind of switch it back to East Africa. I know that the law does exist in Uganda for some things like starting a foreign business, or not for every foreign business. I'm giving you bits of information, so I don't want you to say this and then think, oh, Uganda is not something you can start up a foreign company in. That's why you need to talk to me at Maaya Consultancy. Anyway, what was I getting at? I know such policies in certain places where the government does that to protect its people, or to find a way to involve its people in certain things. Policies like that, where a certain percentage has to be of that nationality or of that country. I remember reading a book by BMK. I think he talks about his journey to being a Ugandan millionaire and what he had to go through when he was expanding to Kenya. At that time, he couldn't just start up a company as a Ugandan. He had to bring on board 2 Kenyans, and then they had to create the company. Amazing book, by the way. You guys need to read it. It talks about finances in Uganda, and it also has a history of Uganda here and there, which is amazing. Anyway, I'm trying to show you certain governments will come up with these policies to protect their people. So the idea is that their people are involved in these things, because it won't make sense when a foreign company comes on board and then they sort of take over, whereas if at least a national is involved in that business, then you would think that then the notion is that they will look out for their own people and kind of give back to their community, or pour back into their community, that sort of thing. Mind you, Elon Musk owns Starlink, and they were trying to break into South Africa, but he actually called them racist. I want to put up a tweet for you guys where he said that Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, was saying South Africa is a constitutional democracy that is deeply rooted in the law, in the rule of the law, and justice and equality. The South African government has not confiscated any land. He was talking about the other land. But Elon Musk went ahead to quote this and say, why do you have openly racist ownership rules. And I feel like this video is going to explain to us what's happening between Starlink and the South African government, or Starlink in South Africa.
He was reluctant to do so when he heard that he must comply with BEE laws, which basically demands of him to give away 30% of the shareholding of Starlink. Okay, so let me just try to explain this. If Elon Musk were to invest in South Africa through his company Starlink, then 30% of that South African company must be owned by historically disadvantaged groups or black investors. Obviously, I agree that if you were to invest in a country...
So you heard that. So for Starlink to be able to operate in South Africa, they need to give own 30% of the ownership to a South African. And he was against that, which is so funny because I feel like... when the US had its issues with TikTok, the notion was TikTok needs to be owned by an American, right? So that they can sort of keep their data in the States and whatnot. But when it comes to an African country sort of putting laws like that in place, then it's the enemy. And when it's the other way around, it's not your enemy. I sort of see the double standards there. Like, it gets me thinking, like, what's really happening, right? So that's why I actually had to bring it to you guys, so that I can hear what you guys have to think. Do you think Elon Musk is right, or do you think he is within his right to kind of question these policies, or do you think the South African government has every right to protect itself and its citizens by putting its people in places that they wouldn't normally be in? That is like owning companies, owning 30% of foreign owned companies. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. I had to bring the I call it gist, but it's actually information. I found it interesting and I thought I could bring it on my channel. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Do all the nice things: subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell for notifications. I am on the road to 10K, so please subscribe. And yeah, also support my merch, support the channel. You can support the channel by purchasing my merch. Uganda looks good on me, or Uganda is calling, so I must go. And I'll see you next time. If you watched till the end, drop a 1 and your email. You can just drop a 1 and your email. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.